Good day, fellow learners. Welcome back to my channel. And today I'd like to share with you the thrills of the new normal in education. But first, before we talk about it, I'd like to address two things. Why did I call you fellow learners? Of course, I'm your mentor, but if we're talking about the new normal in education, the teacher and the learner role could actually interchange, and it has become so fluid that one could actually fluctuate from that of being a teacher to a learner and from that of being a teacher or a learner to a teacher. Okay, so let me address everyone as fellow learners because I know for a fact we're going to learn from each other. The second thing that I'd like to highlight is actually, why are we talking about the thrills of the new normal in education when in fact in the middle of this pandemic, a lot of people are having some fears, anxieties that could be born out of the unknown. Okay, well, whether you like it or not, when you are faced with something new, there's always a certain degree of thrill that you're going to experience. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the thrills of the new normal in education. But allow me to explain a little bit about the gift that I have chosen for our cover. You see an arrow here that points out to the future. But there's something morbid about this because you have a coffin in here. Well, this is just like, for me, a metaphor that as we move towards the future, there are certain things which are very, very appropriate in the traditional methods of teaching and learning, but should now be placed in a coffin and buried together with the not so good memories we've had in the past. Okay? So, as we say in Tagalog, ilibing na natin yan sa nakaraan or ilibing na natin sa limot. So I'm Mentor Ray. I'm also was once in your possession right now. So those of you who are about to enter college are thinking about whether it's going to be enough to engage in flexible or blended or online learning, whether the skills, the knowledge, as well as the attitudes that they're going to learn from these platforms will be enough to allow them to function in the increasingly complex world out there. Well, you don't believe me, but I'd like to tell you, I was also once in your shoes. So I'm a product of the traditional educational system of the Philippines. Ako naman po ay from Diren, probinsyano, doon sa aming munting baryo, sa baryo gumamugam, as I love to call it. So I spent my elementary and high school education from institutions in the province and then move on to the bigger universities in the city, in Manila, then move on and actually studied abroad, specifically in the United States for my post-baccalaureate degree, my master's, and I received two doctor in education degrees honoris causa from two state universities in the country. So if you will ask me, is there anything that we should fear about the new normal in education? Let me prove to you that it's just a matter of having the right attitude. So are we ready? Let's move on. So if I ask you now, why do we go to school? Why do we go to school? Most of you would have different answers, I know for a fact, okay? But in one survey that has been done, the most prevalent reason for students why they go to school is the fact that they want to be able to get a better job or make that a better paying job, okay? And 10% of those who gave an answer to this same question in another survey actually said that going to school is an opportunity for them to make friends. So if we're going to play with the numbers, you just have 10% of those surveyed saying that. So pwede nating sabihin that the social aspect of going to school is the least of our concerns, right? Yes, but if you're going to personally ask me, what would be my answer to this question? Well, my answer would be, we go to school to prepare us for the complex world of the future. You know, the world is increasingly becoming complex. And with those complexities, so that we can effectively deal with it, we need planning, we need doing, and the most important thing, we need reflecting. Reflecting means that we accept whatever mistakes we commit, but we learn from them. Okay? Those are the reasons why we go to school. So we have a variety of reasons: socializing, making friends, meeting people, obtaining the necessary skills, knowledge, and attitude. But the next question is, what now? Of course, with the pandemic that has actually placed a lot of places in the world in a state of crisis, there's just very, very few places, okay, if there are still any in the world that has not yet been affected by the coronavirus. So, what now? With the present pandemic, can you imagine being in a class like this, very claustrophobic, just to maintain social distancing? You'll have partitions around you and meet like this, okay? It's a little high tech, okay? Or having your PE class in protective bubble suits like this and play like this. Okay, what a way to go. Do your PE in bubble suits just to maintain social distancing. Or why would you go through those difficult situations when you can have a class like this, engaging in a class while seated on the toilet bowl? Well, don't raise an eyebrow. I did that once. I was doing my class in India, and I was engaging in our class from a feed in Pennsylvania. And since I was in a very noisy area, I didn't have any choice but to go to a hotel so that I can get a good internet signal. And because it's very noisy around me, so I didn't have a choice but to go to the bathroom of the hotel so that I can clearly hear what my classmates and what my mentor, my professor, is actually telling us to do. And that's the beauty of some of the new normal procedures when it comes to teaching and learning. Okay? So you can also do multitasking like this. You know, millennials love to multitask. They study with their laptops open, with their iPads on another side, while hearing music from their smartphones. But that's the way they are, okay? That is what we call anytime, anywhere learning, or sometimes we label this as flexible learning. So these are the kinds of things that should thrill us. How do we engage in this kind of learning? Sometimes these are being referred to as mobile learning, learning made possible with the use of gadgets like iPhones, smartphones, laptops, iPads, okay? So I am a product of the traditional educational system. In fact, I was born during the time, specifically in the 70s, when the first prototype of what will be used as future gadgets in terms of the use of computer, okay, was manufactured by Xerox Corporation. It's called the Dynabook, okay? And right after I graduated from college in the 90s, okay, IBM Simon, which is actually a form of smartphone, was created by Mitsubishi back in 1994. So just like you guys, I am also was once in the crossroads. Well, I was able to go with the flow because I opted to adapt to the new normal during my time. Now, this is your generation. I'd like to share with you my experiences, specifically the difficulties, but those are the thrilling ones that gave me the best lessons I learned in life. So this is what we call the future of teaching and learning, but we talk about this as the future of teaching and learning within our context here in the Philippines, but this has been going on specifically in North America, in the western part of the world, okay? Most of them have fully developed online learning curriculum or mobile learning curriculum like more than 5 years back. So if you are going to ask me, are we indeed looking towards the future? Or for us Filipino learners, is there a need for us to go back to the future? But whether we're going back to the future or looking forward to the future, we're talking about your future because my future has been yesterday. We're done with it, Okay, I've done my education, I've done my master's, I've done my doctorate, so I'm done with it. So we are now talking about your future, specifically those who are just trying to grapple with the demands of blended or online or flexible learning. Okay, I just hope you get thrilled by the opportunities for teaching and learning that awaits you. So let's travel back to the future through e-learning. So how would you like to be the next creator of a machine that delivers your early morning bread as hot as you would want it to be, right? With a snap of a finger, okay, like this. Or how would you want to be the next creator of a laptop that transforms itself into something like a drone, a machine that flies out of the windows. You can use it to take pictures, to take videos of some views outside the house. You can be the next one to do this. Or you could actually enhance existing tools like the walker and turn it into the jet walker and make it a little faster for granny, okay, and your great grandfather to walk with you. There are endless possibilities. And remember, those can be achieved through knowledge construction. You cannot achieve these things through passive transfer of information, which is usually the method that my teachers in my generation used to engage us in. So sometimes they deliver lectures. Sometimes when we just have one book, they ask a classmate to write down some parts of the book and we copy. And then eventually we forget about it and we don't discuss it. So at the end of the day, we get so tired and our mothers would usually ask us, anak, napagod ka yata? And our answer would be, grabe mami, ang dami naming sinulat. And then your mother would ask you, alin dun sa anak sa mga sinulat mo ang naalala mo? And then we would usually answer, wala mami, basta napakarami. Okay? So we don't even remember what we've written just because these things weren't discussed. Now in your generation, you don't have to do those things. Everything that you need, you can actually get it from the internet. You don't even have to copy it. Just get a screenshot or get a PDF file and print it out. No longer as difficult as we had it during our time, okay? So what if we combine the good things that we get out of traditional ways plus technology? Is it possible? In fact, that's one thing that I'd like to highlight. There are certain things in traditional classroom that we just cannot let go, even if we now have enough technology to transform the teaching learning environment to something more comfortable for the learner, saving their time. I'll give you an example. Well, we have now iPads and laptops, and the millennials would usually be busy typing down their notes, but there are studies that says that writing down makes it more easy for the learner to remember facts rather than when they type it using their laptops, because writing stimulates more parts of the brain rather than when a student just mechanically types his or her notes. So therefore, writing down notes could be one of those things that we learned traditionally that we want to bring in with technology, okay? But I'm amazed with Waldorf School. Like most of executives in Silicon Valley who are, well, the people who are creating and inventing the softwares that we're using now. But it keeps me wondering why they're sending their students to Waldorf School. And Waldorf School offers a computer-less curriculum before the age of 12. That means kids are not exposed to the computer before the age of 12. And you know what's the reason why they would want their children to be in that school? Because that's the kind of traditional school they were raised into, and that made them more creative. Therefore, some traditional ways that we have in the brick and mortar environment of traditional schooling has made us more creative, more imaginative. And a lot of those executives in Silicon Valley would say, we would not have been able to create these things have we not been given the opportunity to be deprived of technology when we were younger. So the deprivation sort of, it gives you the impetus, the push to aspire to create. And that's one good thing that we could actually bring in together with technology. Now remember, in the new normal, content is no longer the king. With the advent of technology, learning processes are now considered as the king. So the school now, the concept of schooling, the school, where there used to be a lot of competition, one student would want to be ranked higher than the other, has now become a place of collaboration. And the word collaboration has now replaced competition. So remember, when we combine traditional ways plus technology, then we have what we term blended learning. It's one of my favorites because it brings in the good of the old days and what technology offers to enhance whatever we've learned the traditional way. Okay, so what makes blended learning unique? Okay, now as I've been saying a while back, as I've been parroting all day long, okay, I'm a product of traditional schooling where the only technology we know inside the classroom was when I was already in college was an overhead projector and a microphone. I was in a classroom that has just chalkboards, okay, and charts, which are actually made by our teachers, and some drawings. Oh, okay, so we are always made to imagine, to create our own. But I would be proud, I am so proud to tell everyone that I came out of it a good student. Okay, so we didn't have computers back then, but because of the deprivation, a push factor was created so that we as learners yearned for more. And that brought us to where we are as learners right now. Okay, so what makes blended learning unique? Okay, millennials have the expression WTF. So what the phase? Okay, say what a phase. So first, it is usually conducted with guidance and supervision by someone we don't already call a teacher. We call them a mentor or a coach. So the teacher, therefore, serves as a guide on the side, no longer the authoritative person that we have to be stiff when they're around because they give us grades in character education or good morals and right conduct. But these are now people who are more than willing to help us out. So remember, what does a coach do? The coach teaches you the skills. Less of the content, but more on how you would do your thing. Like a coach in a basketball or a coach of a tennis player. Okay, that's one advantage and unique feature of blended learning. And then you are given the opportunity to experiment because teaching and learning occurs by doing. I remember with the advent of new technology, augmented reality is now being used together with mobile gadgets or technology such that children could just actually point their gadgets on which part of the tree they would want to know about. And then there's augmented reality that discusses about that specific part of the tree. We didn't have that when I was in traditional schooling. All we had were actually drawings done by our teachers of trees, okay, that look like shrubs actually, okay, but it served the purpose. The only difference is that we are not made to choose which one do we need to learn first because the teacher would always have a method. Like we start from the top to the bottom, or from the bottom, we first learn about the roots and then the trunk, then the branches, and then the leaves. Now, when you're doing teaching and learning by doing, you allow the students, you give them space, the opportunity to explore their environment and learn what they want to learn first, okay? And definitely the F is it's flexible. You can learn anytime, anywhere, when you want it, where you want it. Well, during my time, that's not possible because the only book that we have when I was in elementary was a dictionary, like a 300-page dictionary. That's the only learning tool that I have. We don't have the internet. All we have to do now is to go from house to house looking for a teacher who can help us out with the homework. That is not what they are referring to as collaborative learning. Okay, so how do we achieve our goals through blended learning? There's no way to go but high tech. So you would ask me, are there specific skills that I have to possess when I am expected to go high tech. Of course, you will have to engage in and use learning management systems. You'll have to engage in discussion boards. And there are three groups of skills that I'd like to highlight. First, you have CIT. So let's talk with the C's, the four C's. Communication. You always have to be courteous and pay particular attention to cultural idiosyncrasies of your classmates. Like me, I'm a Filipino. I think differently from Westerners. Westerners are dualistic. They can separate the person from the product. For us Easterners, we think holistically. We consider the person and his or her output as one. So we could be highly personalistic. Second, collaboration. So you have to have the collaborative skills. You need to learn how to give way for group goals. Your individual goals should be just secondary to your group goals. Third, critical thinking, and part of this is actually digital media literacy. You have to know whom to believe, what sites to believe, and you have to know how to validate your facts. Fourth, creativity. So this is one thing we could actually bring from traditional schooling. So remember, communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity. And then the two other groups of skills would be information management. You have to know how to sort things out. You have to know how to curate things. You have to know how to label things that would help you find what you're looking for within 3 minutes. That's the primary indicator of a good information management system. And of course, definitely your time management skills. So you have to know how to keep track of what you're doing. You have to know how to apportion your time when you're dealing with homeworks. And these are all necessary skills that you have to develop in you. I know you have it, you just have to develop it. So what are the advantages of blended learning? Just to highlight and group the advantages into 3 categories, okay? In one word, it's fun. So it's like going for an adventure, okay? FUN means you have faster delivery of content because you just have to surf the internet. Gone are the days that when you have to research something, you have to go to the main library, walk like 10 to 15 minutes, sweat it out, go to like drawers that contain small cards, bibliographical cards, search for your keywords, and then come up with a face with a lot of, you had so much difficulty looking for something because you didn't get the right keyword for your search. And the internet actually modifies that. It makes it easy for you now. Unlimited access to resources. You don't have to wait for 7 a.m. for the library to open and worry that at 5 or 6 p.m. it would actually definitely close. Now you have resources that will be open for 24 hours without you going through difficult, indexing and searching and going through drawers that contains bibliographical indexes, okay? And stimulating your allergy because of the dust, okay, that accumulates on your fingers and on your face and on your hair, okay? And N, it's need-based. It's ideal for tight budget. Now, one of the experiences I had when I was doing my post-baccalaureate degree in the United States is that I was made to choose which subject would I want to take first, depending on my budget. I know this is not yet the in thing here in the Philippines because we are being prescribed how many units we should take. Our schedules are usually prepared, okay? We're given a few choices, not unless you're a working student, then you are given a minimum number of units and a maximum number of units that you can enroll in. But for blended learning or flexible learning, you're the boss. You can choose. So it's going to be easy on the pocket. Now, the next question that a lot of learners would be asking would be, what device do I need to engage in flexible learning, in anytime, anywhere learning, or in blended learning? Okay, let us compare the Philippines to a neighboring country in the ASEAN region because we're most likely alike in a lot of ways. So smartphone is the top device that students use to connect to internet in Thailand to engage in internet-based activities, teaching and learning included. Well, during my generation, okay, we don't have a smartphone. The closest we have is actually to imagine our this thing, the calculator, as a smartphone, or something near to that would be this one. Definitely, this is the best thing that I can find, you know, that's related to the use of a smartphone. Okay. Now, the next question is, are you ready for online learning? A lot of people, a lot of incoming students are so worried because the pandemic has caused most of them to have fear of the unknown. And coupled with the fear of the unknown would be increased levels of anxiety. They're having difficulty trying to figure out whether, will this work? Will I learn enough? How would I be assisted? Is my university ready? Am I ready? Are my parents ready? There are a lot of questions. But at the end of the day, answer this question. Are you ready for online learning? Because it's going to be you who will be engaging in this type of teaching learning activity. So what does it take to be ready? Actually, if I'm going to base it on my own experience, as I've been saying, I've been at the crossroads once. I am a product of the traditional method of schooling. I wanted to pursue post-baccalaureate degree and another master's in the United States, but I am now in the age of information technology and I have to adapt. Otherwise, I won't be able to achieve what I've set myself to do. So I can honestly say that there's no specific special requirement, just the bravery to take the plunge. Be brave enough to take the plunge, and after that, you will actually realize and discover you have the skills. All you need is the right guidance. When I did my post-baccalaureate degree, one of the courses that I was asked to do would require me to come up with a website. How can I do that when the technology that I have in the classroom where I was a product of were actually just a mere overhead projector, and the gadget that we're actually tinkering with would just be calculators. I don't know how to do computer coding, but I was brave enough. I was persistent enough to learn. And that actually got me through. So if I was able to do it, there's no reason why you can't. You're younger. You have more neurons than me. Okay, so remember three things when you take the plunge to online learning. You have to have self-motivation. You have to be persistent. You have to have that strength of character called grit, okay? And the most important thing is that you have to have a good study environment. I remember one of my professors when I was doing my online post-baccalaureate degree asked us to post a picture of our study corner in the house, and most of my classmates love talking about it. Once you have your own space in the house where you can engage with your classmates, and then eventually that heightens your motivation, it thrills you to proceed further. I actually means independence. And coupled with independence, you have to know how to manage your time. You have to know how to manage the information that you're learning. And the most important thing, you have to have a reading schedule. Read, 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 and educate yourself. Because sometimes you really can't rely on some people to help you out. Now, actually, everything that you need in terms of knowledge, the whats, are on the internet. All you have to do is to interpret it correctly, and you have to verify the source of information. That's what we call media literacy. And you have to have the word critical with it. So you need to possess critical media literacy. Okay? Next, R, responsibility. It's your responsibility to do your own research. It's your responsibility to validate your sources, and it's your responsibility to keep track of your pace. Now, I remember in one of the courses I did when I was doing my post-baccalaureate degree, there weren't any prerequisites. My bachelor's degree is in nursing. I'm taking something about technology. I didn't have any computer background, but there were no prerequisites. Just the responsibility that whatever it is that's required by the course must be met. So you have to do extra research. So we're given that opportunity. And at the end of it, we're asked to come up with our own portfolio. So How you process the information is important. Remember, it's the how, not the information per se, because you can get the information from a lot of sources on the internet, but processing it, you have to come up with your own process. How will you process the information you're learning? Okay, I just hope you're learning from my experience. I would love to share with you more of this. Okay, this is actually an abridged talk of something that I did for a university. If you would want to have me and talk about these things in your institution, please feel free to do so. Leave a note on my Facebook page. Now, let's check your readiness. How ready are you to engage in online learning? Okay, so let's begin with the first item. When studying, I am the student who wants to listen to music at the same time, chat with my friends on Facebook. We call this multitasking. And this is one of the characteristics of millennials, where a lot of parents are usually so concerned. In fact, most of them are asking, is that healthy? Are they learning? But lo and behold, most researchers would say students engaged in this kind of attitude would have two types of motivation. Internal motivation, that's a motivation to check on their gadgets, and external motivation, their pride that comes with possessing that gadget. So if we don't allow them to use their gadget, if we confiscate their gadget, what happens is that we just address the external motivation. They're no longer holding it. But the internal motivation to check on their gadgets, millennials would love to check on their gadgets every 15 to 30 minutes, and that wouldn't stop. So even if you're getting their gadgets, deep inside, they're asking themselves, what are my friends talking about on social media? I have to be updated. So the more that they get distracted with teaching and learning activities, such that in one research, the recommendation was actually to allow students to multitask, listen to music while learning, or you could give them technology breaks, short technology breaks several times a day, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, so that they could actually check on their gadgets. And third, allow them to multitask, okay? Assist them to develop their metacognitive skills to engage in teaching learning sessions. So, is it a yes or a no for you? Are you this kind of student? Next. When I am given a project, I do it at all costs and end up having low grades. Well, in my generation, this is usually what we do because we were trained to think that when you're given a project, you should do it yourself. Any help would make it a form of cheating because you are supposed to do it because the project is a reflection of the degree of the skills you've learned. Such that sometimes you spend sleepless nights coming up with a project, and since we just have rudimentary skills, we didn't have enough materials to come up with the best version of a project that we could come up with, then eventually, of course, our teachers are a little more overcritical, by giving us low grades despite the effort. So do you feel that way? Now, another one, when I'm given a take-home test, I believe that it is acceptable to ask help from friends and family. Back in the old days, when you have some take-home tests, specifically doing graduate studies, you are expected to write the answers yourself. You do your own research, write it down. But times have changed. Okay, students now would want to collaborate. In fact, some people share about their answers that they give to questions and then craft their own answers. During my time, that could be labeled as cheating, but this time they call it collaborative learning. So times have really changed. So are you this type of student? And then are you the type of student who believe that I can teach myself and others too? You can fluctuate from the learner to the teacher role and from the teacher to the learner role and back and forth and back and forth. If you are that kind of student, now this is usually aligned with technology-based learning. So if you've answered yes to at least 3 of the 4 questions I've posted, then we can honestly say that you're indeed ready for blended learning. Now let's reflect. What's our first reflection? I want to prepare for the future. If you have this mindset, you are doing the courses because you want to prepare yourself to become adaptable to the more complex world out there, then that's aligned with technology-based thinking. Next, I want a guide who understands me. You want a mentor, a coach, more than a teacher. So remember, in technology-based learning, the teacher is now considered as a guide on the side. So one who just facilitates the teaching and learning process. So this is aligned with technology-based teaching and learning. And the third one, I want to collaborate, not to compete with others. What did I tell you a while back? In the new normal of teaching and learning, schools have now become a place where the word collaboration has replaced the word competition, such that in other schools, they don't have numerical grades anymore. They don't use letters to indicate grades anymore. There's no such thing as a straight A student anymore or a perfect 4.00 student. What they have is pass, and for some, you don't see the word fail, but they place there a phrase that says not yet. They are acknowledging that at certain points in time, eventually, these students would be able to achieve what they're expected to achieve. And so that they're not yet will now be changed to pass. That's one of the thrills of the new normal or new teaching learning environment of the future, which we are now experiencing. So that's aligned with technology-based education. So what did we learn? We learned that technology-based learning is easy. It's easy. It facilitates exploration and experimentation. And at the same time, it also facilitates construction of knowledge and collaboration. So if I ask you this question, are you ready for the future? Let me show you a clip of a movie that has defined the generation where I came from. Let's relive this experience. Let's watch this together.
Get in! Watch your step. Hurry up! Get in, let's go! We've got to move. Watch your step. Get in now.
Hurry up! Get ready! Don't worry about a thing. You're in good hands. Oops! I still haven't worked all the bugs out of this thing, but no matter, we're on a mission of universal proportions.
Doc, Biff has passed through the space-time continuum, but we've got no way of knowing where he is.
You mean when he is? And we do have a way of knowing when he is. The 8-passenger time vehicle is equipped with a sub-ether time tracking scanner, which will allow us to track Biff to his precise location at the precise moment in whatever time period he may have traveled to.
Doc, all pre-launch system checks are complete.
That's our cue. Hang on to your hats. Don't forget, when you see Biff in the DeLorean, accelerate to 88 miles per hour and bump him. Accelerating now to 55 miles per hour. 65, 75, 85, 80 miles per hour! Hill Valley in the year 2015. Come in, Biff. Let's get him. Wow. High towers now, Doc's hands.
Oh, yeah, that's what you think. Whoa. Gotta get some gas, Doc. I'm up here, Doc. Going down. Down. Going up. Going down. Going up. Hello. Gotta go. Okay, hey, Doc.
Great Scott.
Here's my new house. You like it? Up. Turn left. Look out. Like circles around you buttheads. Oh, Doc. Watch for traffic, Doc.
I think we've got him.
Hey, Doc.
Bump him. Faster.
Sucker.
Biff got away. Looks like we're headed 1,000,000 years back in time, and that's Hill Valley below us in the ice age.
You back again? Come on in.
Pull up, boom!
Kaboom! Hill Valley High School buttheads.
Watch out for smoke! Oh, this
Take care!
Blast! The engine's dead! Uh-oh! Everybody lean back! No, lean right! Wait! Oh no! Hold on! Come on, baby! Start! Yahoo! I'm going backwards! Hang in there, volunteers! Heading toward that volcano!
Hello, buttheads! Hey, you guys don't know when to give up, do you?
Prepare yourselves, people. I suspect that the primeval hill valley that we're about to enter could be a pretty rough place.
Hello? Anybody home?
Great Scott, a dinosaur!
Hello?
It's a Tyrannosaurus Rex!
Right this way, Gramps. Come on. Come on, Gramps. Right this way. Now sick 'em! Calm down, big fella. Calm down. Easy, boy. Easy, boy. Hey, I'm hit.
I know this! What in wait! Watch those jaws! Oh! We've been swallowed! There he goes!
Doc! Doc, my fucking bastard is out, Doc! Help me! Doc, hey! Hey! Please, Doc, help me! Hey! Please! I'm hit by a waterfall, Doc! It's a lava flow, Doc! Help me!
Hang on, Dick! Hold on! Accelerate to 88 miles per hour! Bump him! We bumped him! The impact between the two vehicles should send us straight back to the Institute.
Thanks, Doc Brown! You saved my life! Butthead! Get your
You did it! Not only did you catch Biff and save the universe, but you've proved that my latest invention is a success! Go forth, time travelers, and remember the future is what you make it!
So, as in that movie clip, you've seen that the ride to the future of teaching and learning is like riding a time machine. But as the scientist says, the future is what you make it. So the ride to the future of learning may be bumpy. There will be times that you may go in and out of traditional ways of teaching and learning. But what matters is that you take the ride, and that is your choice. And if you make the right choice, expect your diploma, whether you're doing it face to face as you receive it from your mentors and school administrators, or they're doing it virtually. So thank you, and may you have learned something from my experiences as the product of both traditional and blended learning, teaching and learning processes. This is Mentor Ray. If you would want me to cover something else, please do comment on the comment section on this channel of mine. This is actually Ray A. Gapos Network. Thank you very much. And for those of you to subscribe, please do subscribe.